Jake Morrison stretched his arms and looked out at the endless stars through the small window of the USS Horizon. He had been captain of this mining ship for 3 years now, and he still loved the view. Space was quiet and peaceful, which was exactly how he liked it. "Morning, Captain," said Lisa Grant as she walked onto the bridge. She was the chief engineer and the smartest person Jake had ever met. Her hair was always messy because she spent most of her time crawling around inside. "Machines." "Morning, Lisa. How are our systems today?" "Everything looks good. The new communication array is working perfectly. Tony finished installing it yesterday." Lisa sat down at her station and started checking numbers on her screen. Tony Rivera was their communications officer. He was young and always excited about new technology. He had been working on the communication system for weeks. It was supposed to help them talk to Earth from very far away using something called quantum entanglement. Jake did not understand how it worked, but Lisa said it was important. "Where's Kate?" Jake asked. "She's in the lab looking at rock samples," Lisa said. "She found something interesting in the asteroid field." Kate Phillips was their science officer. She loved studying rocks and minerals. Most people thought it was boring, but Kate could talk about rocks for hours. She was always finding something new and exciting. The USS Horizon was not a big ship. It only had 4 crew members, and it was designed for mining operations. They would find asteroids with valuable minerals, break them apart, and collect the materials. It was not glamorous work, but it paid well. Jake looked at his schedule for the day. They were supposed to survey a new asteroid field near the edge of human space. It was routine work, the kind they had done hundreds of times before. "Captain, I'm getting some strange readings," Tony said over the intercom. His voice sounded confused. "What kind of readings?" Jake asked. "The new communication array is picking up something weird. It's like voices, but not human voices. And there are symbols on my screen that I've never seen before." Jake and Lisa looked at each other. "That's impossible," Lisa said. "The array is only supposed to connect to Earth's communication network." They went to the communication room, where Tony was staring at his screens. The displays were filled with strange symbols that looked like nothing Jake had ever seen. They were moving and changing, like they were alive. "How long has this been happening?" Jake asked. "About 10 minutes. I was just doing a routine test of the system when this started." "I can't make it stop." Kate came running from her lab. "Did you guys hear that? There are voices coming from the speakers. They don't sound human." Jake listened carefully. There were indeed voices, but they were speaking in a language he had never heard. The sounds were deep and musical, like singing, but with a strange rhythm. "Lisa, what's going on?" Jake asked. Lisa was already pulling panels off the communication array. "I don't know. The quantum entanglement system is supposed to only connect to our network on Earth, but somehow it's connected to something else." The voices from the speakers got louder. Jake could hear what sounded like many different beings talking at once. Some voices were deep and slow, others were high and fast. They all sounded very serious and important. "Can we disconnect it?" Jake asked. "I'm trying." Lisa said. She was working frantically, pulling wires and checking connections. "But every time I try to shut it down, it just gets stronger." Tony was typing commands on his keyboard, but nothing was working. "Captain, I think we've accidentally connected to someone else's communication network, but I don't know who or what." Kate was listening to the voices with her ear pressed to the speaker. They sound organized, like they're in some kind of military or government meeting, and they sound ... worried. The symbols on the screen started moving faster. Jake could see patterns in them, like they were trying to form words or sentences, but he could not understand what they meant. "Lisa, how is this possible?" Jake asked. I don't know, Lisa said. Her voice was shaking. Quantum entanglement is supposed to be limited to particles that were created together. Our system should only be able to connect to Earth, but somehow we've connected to something else entirely. The voices suddenly stopped. The room became very quiet. Then, slowly, new symbols appeared on the screen. These were different from the others. They were brighter and seemed more urgent. I think they know we're here, Tony said quietly. Jake felt his heart beating faster. In all his years of space travel, he had never encountered anything like this. Humans had been exploring space for decades, but they had never found any signs of alien life. Now, it seemed like alien life had found them. What do we do, Captain? Lisa asked. Jake thought for a moment. He was trained for mining operations, not first contact with alien species. But he was the captain, and his crew was looking to him for answers. First, we tried to understand what's happening. Tony, can you record everything? Lisa, keep trying to figure out how this connection was made. Kate, see if you can learn anything about these symbols. The symbols on the screen changed again. This time, they seemed to be waiting for something. Jake had the strange feeling that whatever was on the other end of the connection was trying to communicate with them. Should we try to respond? Tony asked. Jake looked at his crew. They were all scared, but also excited. This could be the most important moment in human history. Yes, Jake said. Let's try to say hello. Admiral Zexthara stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, her 4 arms crossed behind her back. She was tall and elegant, with silver skin that glowed softly in the ship's lights. Her species, the Vexani, had been part of the Galactic Empire for over 2,000 years. She had never seen anything like what was happening now. Admiral, the security breach is getting worse, said Commander Valenoth. He was shorter than Zexthara, with thick gray skin and multiple eyes. His species were known for their military skills and their ability to think quickly in dangerous situations. Show me, Zexthara said. The main screen displayed their most secure communication network. For the past hour, someone had been trying to break into their military channels. But this was not like any attack they had ever seen before. Watch this, Valenoth said. He played a recording of the intrusion. The attackers started with simple probing, testing our defenses. But then they did something impossible. They created a quantum entanglement connection directly to our core communication system. Zexthara's eyes widened. That should be impossible. Our quantum security has never been broken. That's what makes this so dangerous, Admiral. Whoever these beings are, they have technology that we don't understand. On the screen, they could see the exact moment when the connection was made. Strange symbols appeared, different from any language in the Empire's database. Then came the sounds. Listen to this, Valenoth said. He played the audio recording. A voice came through the speakers. It was strange and alien, making sounds that no species in the Empire had ever heard before. The voice said something that sounded like, "Hello? Is anyone there?" "What does it mean?" asked Lieutenant Tessara, the ship's communications specialist. She had been working for hours to translate the sounds. "We don't know," Valenoth said. "But our computers think it might be some kind of challenge or taunt. In some cultures, asking if someone is present is a way of showing that you're not afraid of them." The recording continued. Another voice joined the first one, this one sounding more agitated. It was making rapid sounds, like it was giving orders or technical instructions. "This second voice is interesting," Tessara said. "Our analysis suggests it might be a military commander giving orders to break through our defenses." Admiral Zexthara listened carefully. In her 300 years of military service, she had seen many different types of attacks. But this was completely new. "Admiral, there's more," Valenoth said. After these voices, our entire communication network experienced fluctuations. It's like they were testing our systems, seeing how we would respond. Have they tried to access any classified information? Zexthara asked. No, Admiral. That's what makes this so strange. They've connected to our most secure channels, but they're not trying to steal anything. They just seem to be ... talking. The recording played more. Sounds from the unknown species. Sometimes the voices sounded confused, other times they sounded excited. But they never stopped trying to communicate. Admiral, said Dr. Kexmal, the ship's science officer, I've been analyzing the quantum signature of their technology. It's unlike anything we've ever encountered. They're using principles that our best scientists don't understand. How is that possible? Zexthara asked. I don't know, Admiral. But whoever these beings are, they're either very advanced or very dangerous. Possibly both. The Galactic Empire had rules for dealing with new species. First, they would try to establish communication. Then, they would assess the species' technology and military capabilities. Finally, they would offer the species a choice: join the Empire willingly or be conquered. But this situation was different. The unknown species had made first contact by breaking into their most secure systems. In the Empire's history, this had never happened before. Admiral, should we activate the first contact protocols? Velinoth asked. Zexthara thought carefully. The first contact protocols were designed for species that the Empire discovered, not for species that discovered them. But these beings had clearly demonstrated advanced technology by breaking their quantum security. Yes, but modified for a potentially hostile contact. Alert the First Fleet. I want 3 battle cruisers ready for deployment within the hour. Admiral, Tessara said, we're receiving more transmissions from the unknown species. The new recording played. This time, the voices sounded different. One of them was saying something that their computers translated as, Hey, can you guys hear us? This is definitely a taunt, Velinoth said. They're challenging us directly. Another voice joined in, saying something that sounded like, This stupid thing won't turn off. They're calling our security system stupid, Tessara said. This is clearly psychological warfare. Admiral Zexthara felt her anger rising. In all her years of service, no species had ever dared to insult the Empire's technology. These beings were either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. Admiral, I recommend we respond with a show of force, Velinoth said. We should let them know that the Galactic Empire does not tolerate disrespect. Wait, Dr. Kexmal said. There's something else. Our analysis of their quantum signature suggests they're not very far away. In fact, they might be in the outer rim of our territory. That's impossible, Zexthara said. Our sensors would have detected any ships in that region. Unless their stealth technology is as advanced as their communication systems, Velinoth said. The Admiral walked to the main viewing screen and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was a species that had managed to surprise the mighty Galactic Empire. They had broken through defenses that had protected the Empire for thousands of years. And now they were taunting the Empire's military forces. Admiral, Tessara said, I'm detecting a new transmission. This one is different. The recording played. This time, the voice sounded calmer, more controlled. It was making longer sounds, like it was trying to have a conversation. They're trying to establish formal communication, Dr. Kexmal said. It could be a trap, Velinoth warned. They might be trying to get us to reveal our location. Admiral, Zexthara made her decision. Prepare a response. Use the standard first contact greeting, but add a military warning. Let them know that they have entered Imperial space and that they must identify themselves immediately. Yes, Admiral, Tessara said as the communication team prepared their response. Zexthara couldn't help but feel excited. After hundreds of years of routine conquests, the Empire had finally encountered a species that might be a real challenge. These beings had technology that the Empire didn't understand, and they were bold enough to challenge Imperial authority. Admiral Velinov said, "The First Fleet is ready for deployment." "Should we move to intercept?" "Not yet," Sexthara said. "First, let's see how they respond to our greeting. If they're as advanced as they seem, this could be the beginning of a very interesting war." Jake Morrison was drinking his third cup of coffee when the alien response finally came through. The strange symbols on the screen had been replaced by new ones, and the speakers crackled with what sounded like a very formal announcement. "Tony, are you getting this?" Jake asked. "Yes, Captain. The computer is trying to translate it, but it's taking a while," Tony said. He was sitting at his station, wearing headphones and typing frantically. Lisa was still working on the communication. Ray, trying to understand how they had connected to the alien network. "This is incredible," she said. "The quantum entanglement is more stable than anything we've ever achieved with Earth. It's like their technology is helping to maintain the connection." Kate was taking notes as fast as she could write. "Captain, I think we've made contact with an organized society. The way they're speaking sounds very official, like a government or military organization." After several minutes, Tony looked up from his screen. "Okay, I've got a rough translation. It's not perfect, but I think I understand what they're saying." "Let's hear it," Jake said. Tony cleared his throat and read from his screen. "Greetings, unknown species. You have entered the territory of the Galactic Empire. We are the rulers of this sector of space. You have demonstrated advanced technology by accessing our communication networks. We demand that you identify yourselves and state your intentions. If you come in peace, you may request permission to surrender and join our empire. If you come in war, you will be destroyed." The bridge was quiet for a moment. Then Jake started. "Laughing, Captain?" Lisa asked. "They think we're invaders," Jake said, still chuckling. "They're talking about surrendering and joining their empire. This sounds like something from a bad science fiction movie." "Maybe they're actors," Tony said. "Maybe we accidentally connected to some kind of space radio show or something." Kate looked confused. "But Captain, how would actors have technology this advanced? And how would they know about quantum entanglement?" "I don't know," Jake said. "But listen to what they're saying. Galactic Empire? Rulers of space?" It sounds like they're reading from a script. The alien transmission continued. The voice was very deep and serious, speaking in a language that sounded like a mix of singing and growling. Even through the translation, Jake could tell that whoever was speaking thought they were very important. "Maybe we should play along," Tony suggested. "It might be fun." "I don't think that's a good idea," Lisa said. "What if they're real? What if there really is a galactic empire out there?" "Come on, Lisa," Jake said. "Think about it. If there was a galactic empire, don't you think someone on Earth would know about it? And look at us. We're just a mining ship with 4 people. Do we look like a threat to a galactic empire?" Kate was studying the symbols on the screen. "These patterns are very complex," she said. "I don't think any human could create something like this. And the mathematical principles behind their communication system are more advanced than anything we have. Maybe they're just really good at special effects." Tony said. Jake decided to respond. "Tony, can you send a message back to them?" "I think so. What do you want to say?" Jake thought for a moment. "Tell them, thanks, but we're just trying to mine some asteroids here. We're not invaders or anything. You guys sound really official, though." Tony typed Jake's message into the translation system. After a few minutes, he sent it through the quantum connection. "Do you think they'll understand it?" Lisa asked. "I guess we'll find out," Jake said. They waited for a response. When it came, it was even more formal in the first message. Unknown species, Tony translated. Your casual dismissal of Imperial authority is noted. We are impressed by your psychological warfare tactics. No species has ever dared to treat the Galactic Empire with such disrespect. We acknowledge your superior confidence and wish to establish formal diplomatic relations. Psychological warfare? Jake said, I just told them we're mining asteroids. They think you're playing mind games with them, Kate said. They're interpreting your casual attitude as a sign of strength. Tony was grinning. This is amazing. They think we're some kind of advanced military force. Captain, Lisa said, I'm starting to think these might be real aliens. The technology is too advanced to be fake. Real aliens who think we're psychological warriors, Jake said. This just keeps getting better. The transmission continued. The aliens were asking more questions about human technology, military capabilities, and territorial claims. They seemed very interested in how humans had developed quantum communication and why they were operating in this sector of space. Tony, tell them we're explorers from Earth, Jake said. We're just curious about the universe. We don't want to conquer anyone. Should I mention that we're just a mining ship? Tony asked. Sure, why not? Tony sent the message. The response came back quickly. The beings claim to be explorers from a planet called Earth, Tony translated. They say they are operating a mining ship and have no territorial ambitions. This is clearly a deception. No species would send a single mining ship to make first contact with the Galactic Empire. They must be testing our responses. They don't believe us, Kate said. Of course they don't, Jake said. We accidentally hacked into their military network. From their perspective, we must look like spies or something. What do we do now? Lisa asked. Let's keep talking to them, Jake said. This is the most interesting thing that's happened to us in years. Tony was already typing. I'm going to ask them about their technology. Maybe we can learn something useful. And I want to know more about this Galactic Empire, Kate said. If it's real, this could be the most important discovery in human history. Jake nodded. All right, let's see where this goes. But everyone stay calm. Whether these are real aliens or really good actors, we're representing humanity here. Let's try not to start an intergalactic war. Too late for that, Tony said, reading a new message. They're asking if we want to discuss surrender terms, or if we prefer to settle this through combat. Combat? Jake said. We have mining lasers and a really good coffee machine. What are we supposed to fight them with? Maybe we should tell them about the coffee machine, Lisa suggested. It might confuse them even more. Jake looked at his crew. They were all excited and nervous, but nobody seemed scared. They were treating this like an adventure, not a crisis. You know what? Jake said. Let's invite them over for coffee. If they're real aliens, it'll be the first interspecies diplomatic meeting in history. If they're actors, at least we'll find out how they're doing all this. Should I really send that? Tony asked. Why not? Jake said. What's the worst that could happen? Admiral Zexthara stood in the shuttle bay of the Eternal Dominion, wearing her finest ceremonial armor. The golden plates gleamed under the bright lights, and her 4 arms were decorated with the symbols of her military rank. Behind her stood Commander Velinov and Ambassador Tissara, both wearing their formal diplomatic uniforms. Admiral, are you certain about this? Velinov asked. We still don't know what we're dealing with. That's exactly why we need to see them in person. Zexthara replied. These beings have technology that we don't understand, and they've invited us to their ship. This could be our chance to learn about their capabilities. Ambassador Tissara checked her translation device one more time. The invitation was very casual, Admiral. They said, you guys came a long way. The least we can do is offer you some hospitality. It's unlike any diplomatic language I've ever encountered. Which proves they're using psychological tactics, Velanoth said. They're trying to make us think they're harmless. The shuttle was ready for departure. It was a small diplomatic vessel, designed for formal meetings with new species. The interior was decorated with imperial symbols and equipped with the finest technology the Empire had to offer. Remember, Zexthara said as they boarded the shuttle, we are representing the might of the Galactic Empire. These beings may have advanced technology, but they need to understand that we are not easily intimidated. The flight to the human ship took 30 minutes. As they approached, Zexthara studied the vessel through the shuttle's viewscreen. It was much smaller than she had expected, with a simple design that looked more functional than military. Admiral, the shuttle pilot said, I'm not detecting any weapons on their ship. Are you sure this is a military vessel? It must be, Velanoth said. No species would send a civilian ship to make first contact with the Empire. The human ship sent them docking instructions. The voice that came through the communication system was casual and friendly, not at all like the formal protocols the Empire was used to. Hey there, alien friends, the voice said. Just dock at the port side. We'll meet you at the airlock. Hope you like coffee. Coffee? Tisara asked. What is coffee? Probably some kind of ceremonial drink, Velanoth said. Many species have ritual beverages for diplomatic meetings. The shuttle docked smoothly. Zexthara took a deep breath and activated her ceremonial cape. The fabric flowed behind her as she walked, making her look even more impressive. Remember, she said to her team, we maintain dignity at all times. Do not let their casual behavior fool you. They are clearly testing us. The airlock opened, and Zexthara stepped through into the human ship. She was prepared for anything. Advanced technology, military guards, elaborate decorations. What she found was a small, simple corridor with plain metal walls. Hello there, said a voice behind her. Zexthara turned around and saw a human male walking toward them. He was wearing simple blue clothing and had a friendly smile on his face. This was clearly Captain Jake Morrison, the leader of the human expedition. Welcome to the USS Horizon, Jake said. I'm Jake Morrison, captain of this ship. Thanks for coming by. Zexthara was confused. Where was the formal greeting? Where were the guards? Where was the ceremony? I am Admiral Zexthara of the Galactic Empire, she said in her most impressive voice. I have come to discuss the terms of your surrender. Jake looked puzzled. Surrender? I thought you were here for coffee. Coffee is part of the diplomatic protocol, Velanoth whispered to Zexthara. Yes, Zexthara said. We will participate in your coffee ceremony. Great, Jake said. Follow me to the mess hall. The rest of the crew is waiting there. He led them through the ship's corridors. Zexthara noticed that the walls were covered with pictures of Earth and what appeared to be family photos. There were no weapons visible, no military decorations, nothing that suggested this was a warship. So, Jake said as they walked, those are some really impressive costumes you guys have. Are you from one of those Renaissance fair planets? Costumes? Zexthara asked. Yeah, the armor and the capes, they look great. Very authentic. You must have spent a lot of time getting the details right. Tisara leaned close to Zexthara. Admiral, I think they're still testing us. They're pretending not to recognize Imperial military uniforms. The mess hall was a small room with a simple table and chairs. 3 other humans were waiting there. A woman with messy hair who was introduced as Lisa Grant, a young man named Tony Rivera, and another woman called Kate Phillips. Please sit down, Jake said, gesturing to the chairs. Lisa made some sandwiches. And we've got fresh coffee. Zexthara looked at the simple folding chairs and the basic table. This was nothing like the elaborate diplomatic chambers she was used to. But she sat down carefully Trying to maintain her dignity despite the casual setting, Lisa placed a plate of sandwiches on the table. They were simple food, cut into triangles and arranged on a plain white plate. Kate poured coffee from a metal pot into small cups. "So," Jake said, settling into his chair, "what's this about a galactic empire? Are you guys part of some kind of historical society or something?" "Historical society?" Velinoth asked. "Yeah, like people who study the past and dress up in old costumes. We have lots of those on Earth." Zexthara was becoming more confused by the minute. These humans were treating the representatives of the mighty galactic empire like they were actors in a play. "We are not actors," she said firmly. "We are the legitimate rulers of this sector of space. Our empire has existed for thousands of years." "Wow," Tony said. "That's a really detailed backstory. You guys are serious about your role-playing." "This is not role-playing," Tisara said. "This is reality." Kate leaned forward with interest. "Okay, let's say you're really from a galactic empire. How many planets do you control?" "Over 10,000 worlds," Zexthara replied. 10,000? Jake said. "That's a lot. How do you manage them all?" "Through superior technology and military might," Velinoth said. "Cool," Tony said. "So you guys have spaceships and laser weapons and all that stuff?" "Of course we do," Zexthara said. "We have the most advanced fleet in the galaxy." "That's awesome," Jake said. "I love science fiction. You guys have faster than light travel?" "Yes," Zexthara said, beginning to feel frustrated. "We have quantum drive technology that allows us to cross the galaxy in days." "Quantum drives," Lisa said with interest. "That's what we use for our communication system. How do you prevent quantum decoherence over long distances?" For the first time, Zexthara felt like she was having a serious conversation. "We use stabilized particle entanglement with temporal compensation algorithms." "Temporal compensation?" Lisa asked. "That's brilliant. We never thought of that." "You never thought of it because you're a primitive species," Velinoth said. "Hey," Jake said, "that's not very nice. We may be primitive, but we're friendly." Zexthara watched as Kate offered her a sandwich. The human woman seemed genuinely interested in making sure her guests were comfortable. Lisa was asking detailed technical questions about Imperial technology, showing real scientific curiosity. Tony was excited about everything they said, like a child hearing adventure stories. And Jake Morrison, the captain of this strange vessel, was treating them like welcome guests rather than potential enemies. He was asking about their journey, offering them food and drink, and showing genuine interest in their culture. "This is very strange," Tisara whispered to Zexthara. "They're not behaving like any species we've encountered before." "Admiral," Velinoth said quietly, "I don't think they understand the seriousness of this situation." As Zexthara looked around the small mess hall, these humans had somehow accessed the Empire's most secure communication systems, demonstrated technology that Imperial scientists didn't understand, and then invited the Empire's military leaders to their ship for sandwiches and coffee. And now they were treating the whole thing like a friendly social visit. "You know," Jake said, "if you guys really are from a galactic empire, you should come visit Earth sometime. We'd love to show you around." The awkward silence in the mess hall was broken when Tony Rivera decided to try something different. He had been watching the aliens carefully, and he could see that they were confused and maybe a little uncomfortable. Back on Earth, Tony was known for his ability to make people laugh, even in difficult situations. "Hey," Tony said, "want to hear a joke?" Admiral Zexthara looked at him with confusion. "A joke?" "Yeah, it's a funny story. We tell them to make people happy." "I do not understand," Zexthara said. "Just listen," Tony said with a grin. "So a priest, a rabbi, and an alien walk into a bar. The bartender looks up and says, "What is this? Some kind of joke?" For a moment, nobody said anything. Then Tony started laughing at his own joke, which made Jake chuckle. Lisa rolled her eyes but smiled. Kate giggled softly. Zexthara stared at Tony. "I still do not understand." "The joke is that the bartender asked if it was a joke, but it actually was a joke," Tony explained. "It's funny because it's hard to explain. The humor comes from the unexpected twist," Kate added. "The bartender breaks the fourth wall by acknowledging that he's in a joke." Zexthara's 4 eyes blinked slowly. She looked at Commander Velinoth, who appeared equally puzzled. Ambassador Tisara was frantically checking her translation device. "So," Zexthara said carefully, "you create stories that have no practical purpose, solely to produce ... happiness?" "That's right," Jake said. "Life's too short to be serious all the time." "But you are in the presence of Imperial military forces," Velinoth said. "This is a moment of great importance." "Why would you make jokes?" "Because you guys seem stressed," Tony said. "I thought you might need to relax." Something strange happened then. Zexthara's mouth twitched slightly. She looked at Tony, then at the other humans, then back at Tony. "Tell me another one," she said. "Really?" Tony asked, surprised ... double quotes, yes. "I wish to understand this ... humor." Tony thought for a moment. "Okay, here's one. Why don't scientists trust atoms?" "Why?" Zexthara asked. "Because they make up everything." This time, Zexthara's mouth twitched more noticeably. "I see. The humor comes from the double meaning of make up. Atoms compose all matter, but make up also means to lie or fabricate." "Exactly," Tony said. "You're getting it." "Tell me another one," Zexthara said, and this time there was definitely a smile on her face. "What do you call a fish wearing a crown?" "I do not know." "What do you call a fish wearing a crown?" "A king." Fish. And then something amazing happened. Admiral Zexthara, commander of the Imperial fleet, conqueror of 1,000 worlds, started laughing. It began as a small chuckle, then grew into a full laugh, then became something that shook her entire body. Her laughter was contagious. Commander Velinoth started laughing too, though he didn't seem to understand why. Ambassador Tisara was making strange sounds that might have been laughter in her species. "This is wonderful," Zexthara said, wiping tears from her eyes. "I have never experienced anything like this before." "You've never laughed before?" Jake asked. "Never. The Imperial military does not engage in humor. We are trained to be serious and disciplined at all times." "That sounds terrible," Lisa said. "How do you deal with stress?" "We conquer things," Velinoth said. "When we are stressed, we find a new planet to add to the empire." "That's not very healthy," Kate said. "Laughter is much better for you." Tony was grinning widely. "Want to hear more jokes?" "Yes," Zexthara said eagerly. "Tell me all of your jokes." For the next hour, Tony told joke after joke. Some were good, some were terrible, but Zexthara laughed at all of them. She was like a child discovering candy for the first time. Commander Velinoth and Ambassador Tisara were also laughing, though they kept looking confused about why they were enjoying themselves so much. "This is incredible," Zexthara said during a break between jokes. "In 300 years of military service, I have never felt anything like this. This ... happiness ... that is wonderful." "That's what friends do," Jake said. "We make each other happy." "Friends?" Zexthara asked. "Yeah, people who like each other and enjoy spending time together." Zexthara looked thoughtful. "The Empire does not have friends. We have allies, subjects, and enemies, but never friends." "That sounds lonely," Kate said. "It is," Zexthara admitted quietly. I never realized how lonely it was until now. Jake refilled everyone's coffee cups. So, Admiral, what happens now? Are you still planning to conquer us? Zexthara looked embarrassed. I do not think I want to conquer you anymore. You have given me something that no conquered world ever has. You have given me joy. We've given each other joy, Lisa said. That's how friendship works. But what will I tell the Empire? Zexthara asked. I was sent here to either accept your surrender or prepare for war. How do I explain that instead? I learned to laugh. Tell them the truth, Jake said. Tell them that humans want to be friends, not enemies. They will not understand, Vilanoth said. The Empire has never made friends with another species. We only know how to conquer or be conquered. Maybe it's time to learn something new. Tony suggested that Ambassador Tisara had been quiet for a while, but now she spoke up. Admiral, what if we proposed a new kind of relationship? Instead of conquest or surrender, what if we offered an alliance based on ... Friendship? Is that possible? Zexthara asked. I don't know, Tisara said. But after what I've experienced today, I think it might be worth trying. Jake stood up and extended his hand to Zexthara. Admiral, on behalf of humanity, I'd like to offer you our friendship. No conquest, no surrender, just friendship. Zexthara looked at Jake's extended hand. What do I do? You shake it, Jake said. It's how humans show agreement and friendship. Zexthara carefully took Jake's hand with one of her forehands and shook it. I accept your offer of friendship, Captain Morrison. This is a new experience for me. For all of us, Jake said. Over the next few hours, the humans and aliens continued to talk. They shared stories about their worlds, their cultures, and their technologies. Zexthara told them about the many planets in the Empire, while the humans described Earth and its diverse cultures. Your planet sounds wonderful, Zexthara said. So many different peoples living together in peace. We don't always live in peace, Jake admitted. We have our problems, but we try to work them out without conquering each other. How? Vilanoth asked. We talk, Lisa said. We negotiate. We compromise. And sometimes we tell jokes to break the tension. I would like to learn these methods, Zexthara said. Perhaps the Empire could benefit from them. As the day went on, it became clear that something important was happening. This wasn't just first contact between two species. It was the beginning of a new way of thinking for the Galactic Empire. Admiral, Tisara said, I've been thinking about our report to the Empire. What if we don't describe this as a first contact situation? What if we describe it as a diplomatic breakthrough? How so? Zexthara asked. We could say that we've discovered a new form of diplomacy. Instead of using fear and force, we've learned to use what did you call it ... friendship. That might actually work, Vilanoth said. The Emperor is always interested in new strategies. And we could invite human representatives to visit the Empire, Zexthara added. They could teach our diplomats about this friendship concept. Jake looked at his crew. What do you think? Want to be humanity's first interstellar ambassadors? Are you kidding? Tony said. I'm going to tell jokes to an entire galactic empire. I'd love to study their technology, Lisa said. And I want to see those 10,000 worlds, Kate added. Then it's settled, Jake said. We'll come with you. 3 days later, the USS Horizon followed the Imperial fleet to the capital world of the Galactic Empire. Jake Morrison, who had started the week as a simple mining ship captain, was now humanity's first interstellar ambassador. The Empire's capital was a massive city that covered an entire planet. Billions of beings from thousands of different species lived and worked there. When the humans arrived, they were greeted with great ceremony, but the ceremony was different from anything the Empire had ever done before. Instead of the usual formal conquest ritual, it was a celebration of friendship. Admiral Zexthara had convinced the Emperor to try this new approach. "Your Majesty," Zexthara said as she presented Jake to the Emperor, "I present Captain Jake, Morrison of the human species. They have taught us a new form of diplomacy." The Emperor was an ancient being who had ruled the Empire for over 1,000 years. He was known for his serious nature and his military mind. But when Tony Rivera told him a joke about a talking space cow, even the Emperor smiled. "This is remarkable," the Emperor said. "In all my years of rule, I have never experienced anything like this happiness you call humor. We'd be happy to teach it to anyone who wants to learn," Jake said. And so began the most unusual alliance in galactic history. The Galactic Empire, which had built its power on conquest and fear, started learning about friendship and laughter. Human diplomats were stationed throughout the Empire, not as conquered subjects, but as teachers and friends. Jake Morrison never did finish his asteroid mining mission. Instead, he became the Empire's first ambassador of friendship, a position that had never existed before. His job was to travel throughout the Empire, teaching different species about humor, friendship, and peaceful cooperation. Tony Rivera became the galaxy's first professional comedian. Ente